This video is an overview of the symmetric constraint. The very powerful and useful symmetric constraint is used after the sketch figures have been sketched. It takes 3 mouse clicks to apply it. Make sure you have status hints turned on. The first line or edge selected will be the axis of symmetry. The axis of symmetry can be an axis, a line or a reference line, or the linear edge of a model. The second line selected will remain stationary and dictate the size, location, and angle of the third line selected, which becomes a mirror image of the second line selected across the axis of symmetry. For this example, a rectangle is drawn that crosses both the x and y axes but is not symmetric. Using the symmetric constraint, the y-axis is selected as the axis of symmetry and the first line is selected. This line will stay in its current location and the second line will move in relation to it. Note the hints at the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. Select the second line and note that a reference line is automatically created. Same steps are taken for the x-axis lines. Once the symmetric constraint is applied, whenever a symmetrically constrained node on one side of the axis is moved, the matching node on the other side of the axis moves the same distance in the opposite direction. This same process also works for independent nodes. First, an axis of symmetry is selected and the first node is selected. Now when the second node is selected, it becomes symmetric to the first. The symmetrical constraint is essentially a type of mirror command, with the difference being that it doesn't create a new item, but forces an existing item to be the mirror image of the first selected item. Here's a previously created part with 2 sketched circles. The top edge is selected as the axis of symmetry. The smaller circle is selected as the anchor, the item that will remain stationary, and control the size and position of the other circle. The larger circle is selected as the item that will relocate and/or resize to become symmetrical with the anchored item. In this video, you learned how to use the symmetric constraint. You learned how this constraint is similar to the mirror command, why the order of selection is important, and that the axis of symmetry can be a sketched line or edge of a part.